Hi and welcome to Lisa's Stamp Studio. Shaker cards are lots of fun. It's usually a card created with acetate as the front or window sheet, as Stampin' Up! Calls it, and then it's filled with all kinds of contents. It could be punched pieces, glitter, and sequins. But today I'm going to teach you a faux shaker card that uses a clear envelope. And you want to talk about easy? This card is it. Here's a quick glimpse at what we're going to be creating together today. If this is your first time visiting my YouTube channel, I would love to encourage you to subscribe. Click the subscribe button down below, and next to it you'll see a small bell icon. If you click that, you'll receive notifications when I'm live right here on YouTube, as well as when I upload a new video. Let's head over to the stamp table and let's get started on today's shaker card. Here's a good close-up of that faux shaker card, and so easy to put together. Let's start by creating the focal point that's going to be the background. I've got one of the small grid papers here to protect my work surface. You'll find those in the annual catalog. Absolutely love them because they don't take up a lot of space. And I've got a piece of Whisper White cardstock here. You're going to find all the cutting dimensions down below. I'm going to be using my black Memento ink pad, and I'm pulling the small image from that stamp set that's called Making Christmas Bright. You'll notice too that there are different light bulbs here so that you can customize your cards. I want to give you a couple tips about using this image. You're going to notice that it's very, very thin. So it's important that you don't rock it in your ink pad. Otherwise, you're going to get those extra lines surrounding the stamped image on your cardstock. So make sure that you tap right up and down. Moving across the ink pad, we're going to want to make sure we cover the whole thing. And then I'm going to make sure that both ends of that line are going to meet on my cardstock. So I've got one here. And then I'll repeat this one more time because now what I want to do is I want to connect these. I'm going to overlap just slightly. Again, making sure that my ends meet the cardstock. I'm going to be using the light bulb base. I'm going to be adding the light bulb base next. I find working backwards is a lot easier. I'll ink up that base. You want the widest end here at the bottom. I'm going to stamp that first one here near the top. I'm going to leave a little room between each of these so that I have room for the light bulbs. I chose to use the solid light bulb for this card, and I'm going to be starting with the real red ink. My best advice to you when you're making this card is to work one color at a time. It makes it a lot easier than having to clean your stamp and change as you go. I'm going to ink up my image, and I'm going to stamp that first light bulb here. I know I want my pattern to be the real red, crushed curry, then garden green. So I'm done on this side. And I'm going to work backwards here so that I don't have two red light bulbs next to each other. I'm going to ink that light bulb up one more time, and I'll stamp that here on the left side. I've switched over to the crushed curry ink. I've cleaned my stamp just off camera, and I'm ready to use it now in this color. So I'm going to ink this up, and I'm going to fill in next to my red light bulb here in the center. And then the same here on the left-hand side. I'm switching over to the garden green ink pad, and now I'll fill in those last two bulbs. My final stamping here is going to be the greeting, and I'm going to work from the bottom up. I've got my real red ink pad here once again, and I've pulled out the word bright from that exact same stamp set. I'll go ahead and ink that up, and I'll stamp that here near the bottom center. Coming back to the Memento black ink pad, I've chosen a phrase from that stamp set that says, "May your Christmas be," and that's going to get stamped right above the word bright. In addition to this wonderful stamp set, there are lots more to choose from in the Stampin' Up! Holiday catalog. If you don't already have a demonstrator and you would like to receive a complimentary copy of the holiday catalog and or the annual catalog, head over to lisasstampstudio.com and click on Contact Me. This now is going to get placed inside the clear envelope. This product is often overlooked in that annual catalog, but I love it not just for mailing my cards, but specifically for these faux shakers. Now you're going to notice that I cut my cardstock smaller than the clear envelope, and I'm going to walk you through the steps of that. So I've placed this where the sealed flap is to the back. So this is the front. And now we're going to add our contents. I'm using the Twinkle Builder punch. I'm not going to be using the moon shape. I'll be saving those punched pieces for a different card. But the small stars and the dots work beautifully for shaker contents. I'm going to punch from real red, crushed curry, and garden green to coordinate with my cards. I did do this several times. And right before you joined me, I went ahead and I punched some more. Now I'm going to slide those down inside the front of the stamped image. You want to make sure that you keep your contents as much to the front as possible. I went over to the craft store and I bought some faux snow crystals. I put mine in a Ziploc bag just to make it easier for me. I'm going to roll down some of the top to make it easier to keep the contents inside. I like to use a plastic spoon, and I'm going to say about a half a teaspoon works perfectly. You're going to want to make sure that the bag is open and ready to go. And again, we're going to work right on top of the card. Now that the contents are inside, I'm going to gravitate it to the bottom with my cardstock, and I'm going to flip this over. Here along the back, there is a flap that you can remove that reveals the adhesive to the back of this envelope. I just want to make sure my card is in there nice and taut, and I'm going to fold this down. And then I'm going to seal. The next step is we're going to add tear and tape along this clear edge here. Since I chose to make my cardstock smaller than the envelope, this step is going to be necessary to make sure that the contents don't fall outside of the perimeter of the stamped image. I'm going to burnish that paper backing down inside of it because I want to make sure it doesn't lift, and then I'm going to remove that paper backing using my Take Your Pick tool attachment. Again, I'm making sure that this is going to be nice and taut, so I'm pulling it very close to the edge of the cardstock, and I'm going to press that in place. Make sure that your outside edge here is lined up neatly, and then turn it over and give it a good shake. Now we're ready to adhere it to the layer of cardstock, and this is real red. I'm going to add tear and tape around the perimeter. Doing just like we did with the flap, I'm working around the outside perimeter of the card. Make sure you burnish that paper down inside so that when you go to remove the paper backing, the adhesive doesn't come with it. Now that the tear and tape is on, we'll go ahead and flip that over, and we're going to line this up, leaving a narrow margin of color all the way around. Now I'm going to flip this, and I'm going to rub from the back to make sure that it's good and stuck. I chose not to do it from the front because of the crystals. I want to make sure that I don't perforate or crease that acetate envelope. All we have to do now is add it to the card base. This measures 5.5 by 8.5. I did score it right before you joined me. I'll use my bone folder for that nice crisp edge. And this time, since it's just regular cardstock, we're going to go ahead and add adhesive along the back side. I'm going to be very generous because I know that there's a little bit of weight to the front, and I want to make sure that my card stays adhered. This is going to get centered here in the middle of the card base. We'll leave a little bit of that garden grain showing. That'll leave nice coordination to this card. And again, flip over and rub from the back to burnish that in place. This is the one I created before you joined me. You can see it's up on dimensionals. It shakes a little bit better, and that could be for a couple reasons. The dimensionals could have given it a little extra depth because it's not so tightly adhered to the real red. It also could be because maybe I didn't seal the envelope quite as tight, but I love them both. Which one do you prefer, the dimensionals or the regular adhesive? Leave me a comment below. If you have enjoyed today's video, please give it a thumbs up here on YouTube, which is a like, and I look forward to having you join me next time. Have a great day.